Hello and hello, guys, and welcome again to Miss German Let's Talk. Here we dive into the wildest, funniest, and darkest Reddit stories that we can potentially find on the internet. So grab a drink, sit back, let's get right into today's episode. So, what do we have today? We are going back to our crazy stories that are the darkest, haunted kind of stories that we can find. So, one Reddit user is asking, under parentheses, serious guys, who has lived in a haunted house and what are the most unexplainable paranormal experience you have encountered? Let's have a look. We have a lot of stories going here because this user got in total 20,000 answers to that question. So if any of you is ever interested in having more of the haunted series, please let me know. I will maybe make a month of just haunted content. Who knows? It's up to you. Please, guys, let me know what you think in the comments below, and we'll see how it goes. So, first story for today. I had fallen asleep at night with my fan running and woke up freezing. I turned it off. Not long after, I woke up hot and turned it back on. This isn't that something we all know? This happened several times. The last time I woke up hot once again, and the moment I opened my eyes, I heard the pull of my fan and looked up to see it slowly start speeding up. I said thank you and fell back asleep. Well, it's not really haunted. We don't have a lot of context here if there's a ghost or whatsoever, but let's say it like that. Maybe a ghost was just like there cuddling with you in bed, and then he gets hot too, and he gets then cold too. And maybe he was like, oh, yeah, it's getting hot, and he didn't want you to get up. So, he just wants to stretch his legs once in a while, and me too. They get hot too, maybe. I don't know how much temperature plays a role in their body when they're dead, but let's continue with the next story. In 2012, my stepfather overdosed on heroin. I'm very sorry to hear that. And dropped dead in the hallway in his condo apartment. My mom had to move out shortly after since they were already behind on mortgage bills. A few months later, my lease went up and I was barely making ends meet and couldn't find a new roommate. My mom offered me the key to the condo apartment to squat for a few months until I saved up enough for my own apartment. I took the offer and moved into the condo apartment. After a month or so, I was asleep in the living room and I had this dream of him standing in the hallway facing the living room. He was looking at me and smiling, laughing, even made a stupid joke and everything. It wasn't disturbing at all, just bittersweet. Then I suddenly woke when I felt some pressure stroking down my head and back. There was nothing around me and it tripped me the hell out. As a skeptical person that doesn't believe in the paranormal, it has to be some kind of sensory hallucination. It was still nice to see him in my dreams once again, though. Made me tear up typing this. Rip my stepfather. That's really sad to hear this. Oh, he wrote down, edit, mildly interesting fact, he dropped dead on July 13th in 2012 on Friday the 13th. Well, we know it's not a nice day to, drop dead, but it happens. Shit happens. I'm again very sorry for this user to experience such a thing. Now, let's talk about this because I know there's a lot of you out there who are skeptical about those things, including me, because we're always trying to find like ways, okay, maybe there is like a explanation for it. But guys, sometimes we have to accept there are no explanations for some couple things. Now, when it comes about dreaming about people that we have lost and we have loved, and yeah, okay, we got to see it that way. She or he was probably just really sad, and being in that apartment brings up memories to those people, right? So it was maybe like scaring the shit out of you for a second, but like also it's a nice memory because maybe you were just thinking about them and you're deeply missing them. Human psychology plays a really, really big role in that. But I would say let's go to the next story now. Moved from the US to the UK, and our parents bought an old beat up house. I still had lead pipes for the water. Okay. Nightmare all on its own. Anyways, work proceeded on the house whilst we lived there. We started seeing bright lights in the corners of rooms at nights, footsteps on floorboards. The house had carpet. I was about 6 at the time and started getting woken up in the middle of the night by a little girl. Okay, guys, this is exactly what we're trying to have here. Those kind of stories, getting waken up by a little girl in the middle of the night who would dance on my chest of drawers for me. I was freaking terrified. Well, I would be too. My mom just fobbed it off as me dreaming. Workmen complained of strange things happening, like tools being moved and odd feelings like being watched. After about a year of this, my eldest sister's friend stayed overnight. She woke the whole house up screaming, saying a little girl had been in her room. She had apparently pulled her from the bed. The friend left the house and refused to ever come back. Well, this is how you lose rent, unfortunately, huh? Mom decided she might need to do something about it and got some advice. He suggested my mom and the whole family should treat the presents as a part of the family. That is something you should not do, maybe. You should just leave from the house if it's financially possible in any shape or form, or get an exorcist or a priest into the house. So when we got home, we shouted, "Hi, we're home. Did you have a good day?" Over time, the house settled and we didn't get any more trouble. We also found out a little girl did die in the house of asthma. My parents still live there and it is a beautiful home place now. Well, okay, we could say it that way. There is a way that you guys settled that goes with wholesomeness and that kids just want to be loved. But also, like, are you really sure that it is a little girl at the end of the day? Should that be normal, guys? Should that be something we should accept in our house, having a ghost? Dependable on the ghost, right? Like, if they want to do something bad to you, maybe you should get the fuck out of there. But also, I'm kind of sorry for that girl that like stayed overnight just like to have. She probably was just like a friend, and there are people who are more sensible to this. And then if you have like a dead little girl walking around in the house at night, I'd be concerned. I'd be concerned in any shape or form. Let's continue with the next story. So the next story that we're having is, I live in a house built in the 1800s. It survived the Second World Wars and it seemed some shit I imagined. One of the previous owners had 2 sons who both committed suicide. A lot of strange stuff happens. The animals, dog and parrots, will wake up from their naps and follow something with their heads, just as they would follow me if I walk around. Also, before I switched rooms in the house, my brother had a room and he refused to sleep in there as he would hear voices. He slept with my parents, he was a child, until the day he got my old room, and since then has slept in that room without any problems. There is also a whole floor we don't use, and I sleep in the attic, and I pass through that floor to get to my attic. Weird explanation, but it's a weird house. And I have a motion activated light there that goes on as I'm walking the stairs on that unused floor. It would also switch on in the middle of the night while nobody is walking under the motion detector. Also, there's cold spots. Well, this is one of those things where you're like, okay, animals are reacting to things that you probably cannot see. And that's where I would be getting concerned, because animals have more like a more finer sense than we humans have. So always be careful when your dog is looking into well, sometimes dogs are just looking into the nothing and be like, yeah, let me shit creep the shit out of my owner, and then I'm getting maybe food. That's probably what a lot of dogs are thinking. But anyways, those I'm not sure, and I'm very skeptical about those motion activated slides that you see when people are bringing them at like haunted places or like lost places that you're seeing on YouTube, right? Because yeah, it could potentially be that there are people who are not there and there are ghosts passing whatsoever, but also maybe those are very sensitive and you need to recalibrate them always and over again. And maybe there is like some dust falling at that moment from the air or whatsoever, and you don't know. So I'm not really sure what to believe in that manner. But here, we have the next story, and the next story is a very long story from a user saying, I lived in a house that seemed to be haunted by doppelgangers. So I don't really know, guys, what it means, doppelgangers, but you can write me down in the comments below and let me know. Let's continue. Every event that happened never involved some mysterious figure, but a known person being in a place where they should not have been. Here are a few examples. Okay, so that person probably have lived in that house for quite a long time, because we have here a lot of different instances over this person's life living in that house, telling us different things. Okay, let's start. I was a teenager at the time, and I was instant messaging my girlfriend at the time with my webcam turned on. I had the viewer up so that I could see myself in the webcam. Behind me, there was the stairs leading up, left on the camera view, and the entrance to the living room, right off camera view. My younger sister would typically fall asleep every night on the couch in front of the TV and make her way up to bed in the middle of the night. At one point in my webcam view, I saw my sister leave the living room and go up the stairs. The thing that struck me as odd was that I didn't hear anything. It was an older Victorian house, so the wooden floor and stairs were loud as fuck. Without saying anything to my girlfriend, I got up and looked into the living room, and there was my sister passed out on the couch. I sat back down and asked my girlfriend if she had seen anything in my camera. She said, yeah, I just saw your sister go upstairs. My family was all getting ready. Oh, no, the next story starts. Okay, so let's comment on this one. That's kind of glitch, I would say. It's a kind of glitch. Maybe she went upstairs and then she went downstairs when nobody was watching the webcam, and then she passed out on the couch again. Maybe she did that. Who knows? Or maybe that was like a ghost imitating her. Who knows? Well. So next thing, he's telling us, sorry, my family was all getting ready to go somewhere. I was sitting in the car with my mom, and we were waiting on my sister, who was still in the house. After a bit, she comes out and gets in the car, and she looked at me like, what the fuck? I asked her what's wrong, and she says that just before she walked out of the house, she thought I was still inside, so she yelled upstairs, obvious we're leaving. And apparently I yelled back, okay, I'll be down in a minute. Holy crap, guys. Okay, honestly, if you have like your family member next to you and you hear their voices from somewhere that there isn't, that's actually something that really creeps me out. And I've been seeing videos about that on either Instagram or YouTube, and I'm like very creeped out. There was, for example, that one video that I saw about a mother and her child being in the room, and the dad was just, I don't know, at work or something, and they were like playing something on the iPad and just like chilling in the room. And then there was like from outside the door where the living room was, there was like a knocking coming from the walls, right? Not the walls, sorry, the door. And then there were just there was the voice of the little boy saying, "Mom, can I come in?" And then he keeps knocking and knocking and knocking the door, and he was like, "Can I come in? Can I come in?" And then it started to be like a weirder noise, and then the mom was like creeped the shit out, was like holding her son, was like blocking the door and calling her husband. That was one of the videos, I was like, all right, I never want to be in that situation. But let's continue. We're still not done with that edit user who is saying some more examples since many people have asked it. I did put some of these in a response lower, but I'd add some for visibility. So he has three more saying, my mom woke up to someone tapping her foot, and she said someone was standing at the end of her bed who faded away after a couple seconds. She said it looked like me. Okay, that is okay. Now I get it when they say doppelganger, because that's probably like some kind of spirit that is initiating the people who live in the house. Okay, that is actually really scary. That is really, really scary. I don't know if there's something in terms of Christianity that, or who has ever been like stated like having such a kind of spirit, but also I don't want to get involved with that. So let's continue. The next point that he's mentioning is, I had an encounter where I woke up and felt like someone was under my covers laying up against me. When I said something, my blanket visibly deflated and I no longer felt anything. Well, he just wanted to cuddle, maybe. I included this with doppelgangers because thought I didn't see what I felt under the blanket. It laid like my girlfriend would have laid against me. Aw, well, I just want to cuddle. They get like cold at night as well. You know, you never know. And then the last thing for today is, this user still says, when I was 22, I was in the military and I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. I still took like a year after the diagnosis to separate from the military, but I went home on leave for the holidays about a month after the diagnosis. Anyone that has insulin independent diabetes typically carries around some sort of kit. Mine is a black zip-up pouch and it has a glucometer, insulin pen, needles, and alcohol pads in it. So right after I left home to head back from leave, my mom texted me to ask if I'm missing my diabetic kit. I look and I'm not. She sends me a picture of a diabetic kit and asks if I know it. I've never seen this kit before in my life. Apparently, my sister went into her bedroom and discovered it outside of her window, popped up like someone had set it there. Oh, also her bedroom is on the second floor. Nobody else known in my family has diabetes. Well, let's keep it like this. See, nobody else in your family has diabetes, but the ghost maybe cares for you. You know, like you wanted to make sure that you have like you a second kid in case something happens. You know, he's well prepared. But also with that said, guys, ladies and gentlemen, my dear followers, my dear watchers, whoever is watching that video, and if you're not following, you should definitely do it, because that's it for today's stories. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and if you did, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to my channel. I'll be back soon with more crazy, dark, haunted Reddit stories. See you next time. Bye!